with God's name, the merciful benefactor. Yes, with God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. All the praise of gratitude belongs to the Almighty, the one who created everything in creation. He created and gives that thing what it needs to sustain its life from the beginning to what we call the end, whatever that is. And I witness that the one who is the source of life is the only one that's worthy of our worship and devotion. And I witness that he sent a messenger and messengers, many messengers and prophets to guide us. And we pray for peace upon his messenger, Muhammad, the one who's worthy of praise. And we pray for peace upon all the messengers and prophets and sincere teachers and servants of God. And we pray for peace upon you, dear learner, who is tuned in to this show. Welcome to the Happiness Campaign with Dr. Z. I am Dr. Z, greeting you in light, love, peace, and harmony. Let me welcome you all and thank my friend Zeta. She says, peace and blessings, Dr. Z. And we pray for peace and blessings upon you also, Zeta. Thank you. You know, this greeting that you give is much bigger than, hi, how you doing? You know, you go through life and people say hello, they say, how you doing? And you can tell they don't really care how you doing. It's just a phrase, a statement, right? But when you say peace and blessings, don't you know that peace is God? God is peace. He is the author of peace. He is the source of peace. He's the only one that can give us peace. So when Zeta says peace and blessings, God is the author of blessings, right? So she's basically saying, may the peace and the blessings that God is be upon you, Dr. Z. And of course, we want that back for you as well, because you cannot pray for something for someone and it not come back to you also. And so, Rashida, thank you for joining. She says the same thing in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. The peace be unto you. The peace that God is, the source of peace, right, be upon you, which really means that this peace is something that you're carrying. It's upon you like you're riding a horse. You know, we in this time, the world that we're living in now, we need that peace all on us all of the time, because it is clear that our life disintegrates and is destroyed and ruined for lack of peace. And in fact, the peace is happiness. Happiness is peace, safety, and security. So welcome, Janie. Thanks for joining. And let me say to you all on Facebook, I tried to charge my battery coming, and it didn't charge all the way. So I don't know how much time we're going to have on Facebook Live, but we're going to be on elifemedia.net on your computer until 8 o'clock or 5 of 8, God willing. So if we get cut off from Facebook, I invite you to tune in at elifemedia.net. And those who might be watching afterwards, if this does cut off, then I encourage you to go to YouTube and Google eLife Media, the Happiness Campaign, and you'll be able to see the show tomorrow, the rest that might be missed. Okay? Thank you. All right. So tonight I wanted to go into this topic of, go beyond fear to your greatest happiness. Go beyond fear to your greatest happiness. And so many wonderful things are happening. I had prepared to go back into this book we were looking at last week called The Untethered Soul. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And I'm going to talk some from this. One, in terms of what the problem is, and second, in terms of how do we go beyond our fear, right? And I got my man Roland Grimes in the house with us tonight. Welcome, Roland.
It is my pleasure. Welcome, Dr. Z. eLife Media, powered by Live Music for You. Call in 240-455-5934. I see well over a dozen people have tuned in on elifemedia.net.
Fantastic. That makes me happy, Roland.
Me too.
And Roland and I, we're partnering, collaborating with each other here. In fact, he's got a show coming up on May the 13th on Saturday at Indian Head
Theater of the Arts, the Black
Box Theater, right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
And where's that located?
That is 4185 Indian Head Highway. Roland Grimes show live featuring Dr. Z and a whole bunch of other beautiful folks.
It's going to be fantastic, y'all. I invite you to come out if you
4 o'clock p.m. Yes,
4
sir.
p.m. Saturday, May 13th. Some of you to give me a chance to see you, you to see me. And he'll have a lot of folks on the show. I'll have a small segment, but I will be there. I will have an appearance. And the other thing is, it's going to be like a live talk show with a band. Like, y'all stay up and y'all watch, all those guys, Jimmy Kimmel and all that stuff, right? Okay, well, we got Roland Grimes, right? And we're going to have a similar type of setup. And it's going to be a fantastic thing. So I invite you all to come out that Saturday, next Saturday, not this weekend, but the following weekend, 4 p.m. in Indian Head Black Box Arts for the Arts Black Box Theater. Okay, so I just, I had this interesting thing. I was driving here tonight before I get into the topic, going beyond fear. And I just believe on this path that we're on, this happiness path, this spiritual path that we're living, everything happens, not just for a reason, but God sends you everything at the right time in the best way for whatever it is that you need. Okay, and we believe that and we trust that. The criteria is that we have to be obedient and be grateful, and take responsibility to live the way that we're supposed to live. And we know what that is, okay? And we're talking universal concepts here. But I was on the road and I just happened to turn my dial, and it was a WL show. I think it was 95.9 FM in the D.C. area. And there was this I didn't even know the talk show. I just happened to turn it. And there was a guy named Neely Fuller Jr. who was talking about white supremacy, right? I think he has a book. I know his website is producejustice.com. But he was talking about the concept of white supremacy. And it piqued my interest. I was enthralled. I mean, I stayed listening until the last possible minute to get in the studio for our show. And he talked about white supremacy being, a religion, and how people, it's the biggest religion, and the adherents to it are the most religious people. They don't practice it sometimes; they practice it all the time. Now, I'm not really here to get into a race talk, right? But what he impressed me with that I can play off of what we do tonight is everything that he was talking about. He came from logic. He was talking about logic. So I'm going to invite your soul and your intellect, your mind, to remove yourself out of race and these trivial things, right? And really think about it from a universal overall standpoint, because the idea is that we can't just live our life on emotions and negative feelings. I talk about the diseased ego, right? That's what takes us down, right? But we have to have emotions. Emotions are part of life. But the question is, are they negative emotions or positive emotions? And so I'm proponent of the positive emotions, which tie into universal law. But the idea I got from Mr. Fuller is that our emotions have to be tied to logic. And so, recognize that what takes us out of our spirit consciousness, the thing that makes us different from any other creation, is that the spirit consciousness, or the consciousness of the Spirit of God that works in us through our intellect. Our capacity to think and to be rational. And that's what separates us from all other forms of life, whether it's vegetable life, animal life, mineral life, right? Electrons. And so this idea of logic has to drive our emotions. But I talk about the diseased ego that's based in fear, doubt, and worry. And that comes up when we become selfish, right? And the selfishness takes us out of the spirit consciousness and the intellect, the rational intellect, and makes our intellect become irrational. It makes us become illogical. So in the essence, what we're talking about here is this idea of a logic, right? Yes, Rashida says emotions tied to logic. And he gave a really nice picture, and welcome Rashad and also Khalil. He gave a really nice metaphor about black people being like electrical wire that's cut. It's live, right? But it's cut. And it's got all this energy and all this power, right? And it's just flapping all over the place, flapping in the cars and flapping in this and that and the other, right? It doesn't know what to do to the energy. The energy is not focused. And from his conversation, talking about this idea or this reality of white supremacy, right, ends up grabbing that energy like it would grab a snake, and then focusing that energy, our energy, on a way that sustains the status quo. I'll put it that way. Okay. So what aside from that, or kind of connected to this idea of us trying to figure out how to focus our energy and our power, what we're offering here is through this happiness campaign is the idea that we don't want to focus the negative energy. We don't want to let the negative energy of the diseased ego of hatred and judgment and punishment and selfishness and feeling powerless and thinking that you're a victim and being frustrated and angry and devaluing yourself and all of that stuff. That's what takes us away from the promise of God for us in our life. And what we're saying is we got to focus our energy on the positive, universal laws and principles. That's where the logic is. The logic is really in the guidance of God, and the guidance of God is the only guidance. I don't care what you read. I don't care what you call yourself. There are universal laws and values and principles that are operating everything in this creation. And it has to be studied. And you, black man, black woman, have to study something in depth. It may take your whole lifetime, even if all you're studying is, a grain of sand, and that's what you're inspired to study. Then you have to study that. Because in the process of a grain of sand being what it is law and is process for development, you see. And God is expressing himself through all of us in the ways that he wants to, in the gifts that he's given to us. So you got to look for what your gift is. And you have to study that. And you can find out from your interest. All of us have a purpose, and all of us been given at least one gift that we're here to serve through. How can you tell what your gift is? Look, I don't know if y'all feeling energy, but I'm fired up in here right now. My soul is soaring, and we're bringing it to you raw, live, right? On elifemedia.net. So the thing is, whatever that gift is, how can you tell what your gift is? It's something that you love. It's something that you love to do. How can you tell when you love it? One way is how it makes you feel, the joy that you feel, the happiness that you feel, right? The freedom that you feel when you are using it. Where am I at here, Roland? On this one over here, closest to you? Is this the camera?
You're on both, brother.
Okay, all right. So when you have something that you love, you have that joy, right? And then you can also tell your gift because when you're doing it, it seems like time stands still, right? Time just seems to stop. You get so engrossed in it, you could do it all day. Like y'all know this is my gift because I could do this all day long, and I love it. I walk out here every Wednesday floating from the exchange, right? So that's the kind of life that makes us the happiest. That's the kind of life that gives us the peace and the security that we all want. Now, if I'm saying anything that's right on, let me know, Facebook fans, Facebook viewers. Is this on mark or not? Okay? Because if it's true, if this is what your soul has come here to serve a specific purpose through that specific gift that you've been given, right? And we're not using that gift. Why is it that we don't pursue that gift? Isn't it out of fear? Isn't it out of some fear? And a lot of the fear is something that, again, we've been conditioned. Black people, we are the way we are because of the programming and conditioning for many, many years. But that doesn't mean that you as an individual can't change your view, can't change your circumstances. In fact, you're responsible to become the best that you can be as a soul. Forget your race, forget your gender. As a soul, you have to strive with your soul and not have any doubt about that striving. And look for what your gift is, okay, and why you're here. And as you do that, it will be unfolded. Don't you know that the questions that you ask will be answered? The way that this life works, if you're serving, when you ask, the Almighty is going to respond to you. That's how the life is. Okay? So, and then after the response comes, then it's up to you to respond to what you're given, what shows up. And the best way to respond is allow yourself to receive what you've been given through your actions. But what is it that keeps us from acting? It's usually our mindset, our feeling world, our attitudes, but it's the attitude of fear that holds us back from becoming. And so what we're doing here is offering you through this campaign a way out of your fear, a way how we can be happier. And it's very simple. Get out of your selfishness and get into selfless service. Instead of asking, what's in it for me, ask, how can I help? And so I'm going to turn into one of the chapters in this book here, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This is chapter 2. He talks about your inner roommate. And what he's saying here, and this is, I think, the source of the fear. He's saying that all of us have a roommate. First, he's saying, who are you? Who are you? Are you your physical body? I'm asking. Are you your mental capacity? I mean, it's possible, right, that you could have something wrong with your physical body. But does that make you any less of a human being? Does it make you any less of you? Of course not. You could have something wrong with your mental capacity, but it doesn't make you any less of you as a human being. So who are you? What are you? And I tend to agree with Mr. Singer. You are a soul. In essence, each of us is a soul in the body. We're spiritual beings in a physical existence. So it's a spiritual journey, a mental journey, and it's also a physical and an emotional journey. But what he's saying is that each of us have what he calls a roommate. And this, he says, your inner growth is completely dependent upon the realization that the only way to find peace and contentment is to stop thinking about yourself. You're ready to grow when you finally realize that the I who is always talking inside will never be content. It always has a problem with something. Honestly, when was the last time you really had nothing bothering you? Before you had your current problem, there was another problem, right? And if you're wise, you'll realize that after this one's gone, there will be another one. So, he's saying that this roommate is constantly talking to you. It's constantly asking questions. It's constantly finding something to complain about. It's constantly finding something to judge someone about. And that the only way out of that is being conscious of who you are as a soul. That you are the observer, that you are the listener of this voice inside of you that's always talking, that you are the awareness, and I like the word of consciousness. So as I think about, what he's talking about, it seems to me that this chatter that's always going on is really the self-conscious intellect. The I, and the me, right? That sees something in every situation. And if it's not quite what that part of you wants, then something's wrong with it. If it's not quite going the way you think it should go, something's wrong with it. So I don't know. What do you think, Roland? Does he have any credence to what he's talking about here? The psyche, the universal mind, not the universal mind, this intellect that's always talking to us and usually giving us bad advice. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you said something very profound, which was a few things that were profound, but one that sticks out in my mind is the understanding as that conversation is going on from within, that whatever problem I have now, I had another problem before, and there'll be another problem after. So part of what happens is something is giving the problem more power than is necessary.
Yeah.
Brother, what are some of the things that are giving that problem more power than necessary?
Yeah. Thanks for that. I love it when we work together, man, because you always, in fact, I love the interaction. You always take us where we need to go. And any of y'all that want to call in, you can call in at 240-455-5934, 240-455-5934. And welcome, my friend Mahir. Oakland in the house. So, look, what is it that gives that thing power and energy, right? Well, it's that irrational intellect. It's that self-consciousness. It's that way of thinking, because whatever we focus on gives more power, right? So just say you have a fear. Like, what would be a common thing that happens? Anybody want some help? You can call in and we'll try to help you with it, right? But the deal is, once we focus in on it, if it's negative, then we give it more energy and we give it more power. It could be something around our health, right? It could be something around our money. Maybe we say, we don't have enough money, but we're looking at it is in an illusion, because the poverty is not the standard. Abundance is the standard. Prosperity is the standard, Everything is prosperous, right? But yet, our mind tells us, we're limited because of this or that or the other, right? And so what feeds our unreality or our irrational self or our irrational thoughts and emotions is really the thoughts and the feelings, right, that we have. And when we keep feeding it, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, And the chapter that I wanted to look at today really is this notion of us being in a cage, right? Right? This thing we're talking about, right? This fear, this mind that focuses on things that are fearful, it puts us in a cage. It's like, does this answer your question? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because the way the energy goes, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
No, I've been in that cage, brother. That fear, and others that I know have too, that fear, that feeling of fear that entraps you. And I don't, there's a difference between being afraid of something that is threatening you, because once that thing is gone, then that fear of that thing is gone. But the other kind of fear is the one that stays with you even when the perceived threat is gone. It's sort of like a generalized anxiety and fear, and that you've been dealing with since I've known you, on reaching toward a consciousness that helps drive out that generalized anxiety and fear. That's a powerful thing, because that is keeping more of us from reaching and living in a happy space and reaching the goals that we set more than anything else, including what we call as the devil getting in the way.
Yeah, and the devil is in us. The devil is in our irrational thinking. Let me send the greetings to my friends Zaida and also Imani. Thanks for joining in tonight. So this thing of this fear, this fearful thoughts, and we're giving it power. And it's funny. It's not funny, but it's very interesting how once we have this fear, or once we give attention to it, then we do things to try to protect ourselves in the fearfulness. In other words, whatever we have a fear about is usually false anyway. We do things to protect ourselves to make that fear continue to manifest itself. In other words, we got to prove ourselves that we're right? So we continue to do things and think things and give that stuff power so that it continues to come, and we can say, see, I told you it was real. But the fact of it, it's not real. That was your roommate talking to you. That was your roommate making stuff up. When I say roommate, I'm really talking about the diseased intellect, right? Because you as a soul is the real you. The real you is a consciousness, right? We talk about consciousness of God, right? We talked about 3 types of people. Those who are God conscious, right? And that's kind of like being in a place where you worship the Almighty as though you see him, even though you can't see him. You are aware that he sees you. You're conscious. You're consciously aware. You're awake, right? And this is really what this campaign is about, because moving out of selfishness into selfless service keeps you awake. It awakens you. It awakens your soul. And so instead of trying to find ways to protect ourselves in our fear, because that's our comfort zone, that's what makes us feel comfortable. You can get fearful so long that you're comfortable there. And as soon as you get close to the edge, right, then you want to do something to self-sabotage it. And that's what he's talking about in this other chapter, talking about going beyond, right? He gives the analogy of like a dog, right? First he said a tiger in a cage. And to see a tiger in a small cage would be something that would be very odd for us to see that, right? And we would think that the soul of that tiger would want to get out of that cage, or be looking at the tiger ourselves. We would want the tiger out, because we wouldn't want to be in that state. We would want to be out of that cage, you see. But that picture is similar to what we do when we're in our self-consciousness, our selfishness, our diseased ego. We put ourselves in a little cage and we limit ourselves, right? And our soul wants to break free, but we continue to do things to keep ourselves in there. So those things that we really desire to accomplish, we might not go at it fully. We may not be fully engaged in life, which I'm finding full engagement is what happiness, peace of mind is all about, right? Because we've used our mindset to lock ourselves into this cage in our own mind, right? And it's usually because of fear, anxiety, insecurity, self-consciousness, selfishness, right? That's the big problem for the human being. Yes. Okay, so how do you go beyond that? Well, Yeah, so let me welcome Amy. Thanks for joining in, Amy. Hey, I'm wondering, do y'all have any thoughts or questions or comments based on what I'm saying so far as we kind of move into how do we go beyond this fear? If so, you can call in at 240-455-5934 if you want to make a comment. Excuse me. Or, hi there, Amy. How are you? Hope you are well, and I hope the family's well. And if y'all want to get down here this summer, you let me know so we can arrange some time and some trip, That would be great. Would love it. Best to all. Love you all. So how do you go beyond this fear? Well, he says here, ultimately the word beyond captures the true meaning of spirituality. In its most basic sense, going beyond means going past where you are. Now you got to understand that you are that soul inside that is silent and that observes. And we need to learn how, and that's consciously aware. And we need to learn how to cultivate that, and recognize that all the things that you're saying in your head or saying outside or, making statements in your mind about what you're seeing somebody doing, what they should be doing, shouldn't be doing, all that is your roommate, the illogical intellect that's talking. And you can, as a soul, you can observe that roommate talking. You don't have to give it power by, focusing in on what it's saying or the fear that you might have about whatever it is. You could just observe it, listen to it, notice it, and then release it. And just relax and let that idea go on about its business. That's the first thing in terms of going beyond your fear. Okay? But he says here that the basic sense of going beyond means going past where you are. It means not staying in your current state. And when you are constantly go beyond yourself, there's no more limitations. There are no boundaries. Limitations and boundaries only exist at the places where you stop going beyond. I got to say that again. Limitations and boundaries only exist at the places where you stop going beyond. If you never stop, then you go beyond boundaries, beyond limitations, and beyond the sense of a restricted self. We restrict ourselves so much. I've restricted myself so much throughout my life. Putting limitations on what I can do, what I can be, and what I can have. And if I'm doing it, I'm sure all of you have done it at some point and may still be doing it. And that's part of the box. The fact is that things are not finite. Things are not the boundaries we put on it. Everything is infinite. Space is infinite. So if we start talking about a mile from here, then that mile is putting a limitation on the infinite space. It says right now you're using your analytical mind to break the world up into individual thought objects, and then using the same mind to put these discrete thoughts together in some kind of defined relationship to each other. And this is mostly done to try to make an attempt to control the unknown. We get afraid of the unknown. We feel anxious about the unknown, right? And in fact, everything is unknown. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, even the next moment. So, yes. Yeah, we start making stuff up. We start making stuff up about what's going to happen tomorrow, or what this person in relationship is going to do, or what this person is going to say. You got it all figured out, right? In your own mind. And when it's that fearful mind, usually what we think is going to happen is not going to happen. And even if it's not the fearful mind, we don't know. We don't know. So, we're trying to have everything be a certain way in the future. Your views, your opinions, your preferences, right? Your concepts, your goals, your beliefs are all ways to bring the infinite universe down to the finite where you can feel a sense of control. And since the analytical mind cannot handle the finite, the infinite, you create an alternative reality of finite thoughts that can remain fixed within your mind. And if anything that happens outside of those views, you fight it. You feel you have to defend yourself. You have to rationalize it. Or you get frustrated, get angry, right? About simple things. Oh, man. I don't know how this is hitting you, but I'm really resonated. I can think of a lot of little things that have happened, you know, that I could see myself just really out of boundaries. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I really wish somebody would call in so I could help you, right? But I give an example. So, and I don't know where this came from. A lot of stuff comes from our childhood, right? But I have this idea that, and this just show you how sick the roommate is, you know, and you really don't want to pay attention to a roommate. So a lot of times I'll get in the line, right? Like I was in the line at the post office the other day. I can remember getting in the line at the Rite Aid and different places, right? And, you know, a person will, it's happened many times, the person will come up and kind of get in front of me. You know, try to be slick, you know, you see them, but they kind of position themselves or jumping like they got a question when really they need service just like I do, right? So, you know, I had this little, and this is real silly. So y'all say, oh, Dr. Z, I didn't know you were that way. Well, I'm that way sometimes. But it's that way in me is the same way, that way in you, which allows you to recognize that way in me and have something to say about it. Your roommate may have something to say about it. Listen to my roommate, right? Okay. So the thing is, I had this little thing I watch, and I say, it seems like people just always getting in front of me. You know, it's like, why do folks get in front of me? I'm at the post office day before yesterday, mailing the package, and, you know, nobody's in there when I come in there. I go up to the counter, the lady's waiting on me, and then dude, he comes right up stand right next to me, crowd me. You know, I'm like, dude, why you all up in my space? This is my turn to get served, you know? That's real silly, right? Okay.
No, I won't say that.
But that's the conversation I'm having in my head. Come on, I think we got a caller. Come on, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. You got to turn down your, whatever you're listening, however you're listening to the show, you got to turn that down so we can hear.
Okay, I just did. Is it better now?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do I ask the question, make the comment through you or what?
Yeah, you're live on the air, so.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness, come on. No fear here now, no fear.
Okay.
Your soul.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Z. I just met you in Dallas.
Yes. What's your name, your first name?
Laura.
Yes,
from
Laura.
San Diego, California.
Oh, yeah, Laura.
Okay, I just wanted to say that one of the things I'd always been taught was that fear meant false evidence appearing real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that too. False evidence or false expectations appearing real. We expect something to happen in the future that's not even going to happen.
Okay. Well, I'm enjoying the show, so I just wanted to call in and let you know that.
I appreciate that. Is there some way we can help you in the minutes that we have?
Not right this second.
All right. Well, keep coming back, right? We hope you'll keep coming back. And
I
we're glad
will.
you're enjoying the energy. And let your friends know. And go to my website. If you're not already signed up at drzhappiness.com. Just send me an email from there. All right?
Okay,
all right.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Much love to you. Yeah, thanks for calling in. Yes. So, where were we at, Roland? Where are we at here?
Wherever you want to be, brother.
We're right here. Yeah. So you talking about mental models, right? We have these mental models, and when things go outside of these models that we have in our mind, even though they may be false reasoning or inaccurate reasoning, right? Then we have to try to defend it and try to make things the way we want it to go. instead of just allowing it to be what it is, So he uses the idea of a dog, right? A dog. And it was a time, you always had chains on dogs. They could only go so far, right? And now, but the dog wants to run free, right? But they have these things now. They have these electronic, right, where they can put, wires under the ground and put a little something on the neck of the dog, and when the dog runs up to this space, it gets this electrode, and it hurts, it barks, it gets back, it whines, and it does that enough time to figure out that there's a limitation, right? And the reality is, well, that's something that's created for the dog, but the dog becomes conditioned by those, right? So that's the same thing with us, isn't it? Right? These limitations that our irrational intelligence, all right, our selfishness puts on us and creates this barrier, right? And we perceive that we cannot go past this barrier. If we try to get close to the barrier or we touch the barrier, we hit this pain inside. Okay, but that's not really the reality. That's the illusion that's been created. And sometimes you might have a dog that's brave enough to go and touch that line and feel that pain, kind of get conditioned to that pain and that hurt, and they be brave enough one day to crash through the other side of those limitations. Because outside of that limitation is where their freedom is. Outside of that limitation is where their ability to have full happiness and peace and security in the infinite, right? You think? So we've got to figure out how to have enough courage within ourselves first to see where it is that we're limiting ourselves in our own thoughts and beliefs, and feelings. And it takes thought. You have to be willing to think, and reflect upon yourself, even though it might be a little painful. Maybe that's the part of the limitation is we don't want to reflect and really look at ourselves, right? Yeah, so Facebook Live is gone now. Anyway, that's that. So the idea now is to be able to really reflect on ourselves and think about, right? You got to understand yourself. So I reflected on the incident in the post office. And I'm saying to myself, man, look how silly this is, right? People aren't getting in front of you. You are already in the line in front of them. Right? Oh, so I'm like, man, you can't listen to your roommate, right? Telling you this, that, or the other. You can't listen. When I say roommate, I'm talking about your diseased ego. That's the language that we use. The fear that you have. Whatever it looks like, It is there to limit you. There's a lot that you can learn if your intellect is based in true consciousness and in the laws, the principles, the values of life, of the good life, of the conscious life, which begins with service. Yes. So I know we have maybe a few minutes left. If you have a question or comment, then we encourage you to call in 240-455-5934. Is that clock right there, Roland? Okay. So I hope that you've gotten some benefit out of this tonight. How many folks we got left on the computer? 40 people on the computer. So I thank you all for joining in. And I'm gonna say this as a businessman: if you like this programming, if you find it beneficial and you want to support it, then you can go to drzhappiness.com. You can make a donation. There's some buttons there for different levels of donations. We want to keep the show on the air. If you like it and you're benefiting from it, If you're not on the Happiness Campaign already, send your email there at drzhappiness.com. If you want to support it financially, we accept donations, and that'll help us pay the monthly fee so we can keep on the air and keep bringing what we think is beneficial for your soul. Tell people about it. If you'd like to invite me to come out to speak at your group, your place of worship, your team at work, then you can reach me through the website drzhappiness.com. There'll be a lot of things that we're going to be bringing forward, God willing, because right now God has put us in the space that we have to do this full time. We have to share this message of happiness, through marriage and family coaching, counseling, through individual coaching, counseling, through employee engagement services at the workplace, through speeches at your places of worship or other organizations, sorority, fraternity, anywhere where people are wanting to be inspired and wanting to be uplifted. If you're feeling that energy from our program, we invite you to support it in any of the ways that we just mentioned. We appreciate it greatly. And with that, we're going to close down and invite you to come back next week, invite you to share with your friends. And I want to close. Let me make my prayer here with God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Oh, our God and evolver, cherisher, and sustainer, please accept this effort from us. For surely you are the hearer, the one who pays attention and listens, and you are the knower of all things. Amen. Thank you. God bless you.